Today I'm lucky to speak to some people from the FIT programme in Ireland. That's fast tracking into tech. I've come across them a few times in the last couple of years, but didn't know about them at all maybe 18 months ago. And yeah, they're going to tell us about the apprenticeship programme for getting more people into tech and go into some experiences about what that feels like. Enjoy. So today I'm going to talk to Anne-Marie McAndrew and Jessica McKeown, and they're both involved in the FIT programme, which is a tech apprenticeship programme that runs in Ireland. And it's something that I know I personally have a great passion for and will rant and rave about it all the time. But the reason for that for me, I guess, is because I wasn't traditionally trained. I was trained on the job, not in an official apprenticeship, but I guess I learned a lot of the stuff just without any certification. And wouldn't have done if I hadn't had the opportunity to learn it that way. And I know of many people that wouldn't get opportunities without things like apprenticeships. So I have a super, super mad passion for it. So you're very welcome today, Anne-Marie. Jessica, I'm keen to get stuck into this.
Great. Thanks, Jennifer. Delighted to be here.
No worries. So Jessica, we're going to talk to you first. So I guess actually before we even do that, let us know what both of your roles are so at least people know who we're talking to. If you want to go first, Jessica.
Yeah, so I'm Jessica McKeown. I'm the Senior Tech Apprenticeship Officer in FIT. So what really that means is I work with companies to onboard companies to take on tech apprentices. And we also work with the candidates to ensure they're a right fit for the companies and the companies are a right fit for the candidates. So that's my role.
Lovely. And Anne-Marie?
So yes, I'm Anne-Marie. I am currently in my second year of the Network Engineering Apprenticeship with FIT. And my host company being Education and Training.
Cool. Thank you. So we'll start, I guess, with the FIT side of things. So Jessica, what inspired the creation of the FIT Tech Apprenticeship Programme and how has it evolved since that began?
Okay, so I suppose just to give you a bit of background on FIT. FIT are the National Coordinator of Tech Apprenticeships in Ireland. And we have been providing training and training programs in technology for the last over 25 years. And I suppose the CEO, Peter Davitt, he started off as a bricklayer, but he had a real interest in technology. And I think over the years, as FIT evolved, and we had that ability to provide people with a variety of different ways into the tech sector and to have those opportunities, he kind of went back to the idea of the bricklaying and the apprenticeship and the fact that, well, okay, there's apprenticeships in bricklaying and to be like in woodwork or carpentry and those kind of things, and why are they not in technology? And that's really where it started. So it was opening up those opportunities for anyone with a curiosity and passion for technology, so that they could actually go forward and do that. Not everybody wants to go to third level education. A lot of people do find that, they want to learn on the job. They're really hands-on learners. And with the apprenticeships, there is a 70-30%. So 70% you're with an employer and 30% you're learning through an education and training board. So it really does open it up. And again, it opens up a huge talent pipeline for everybody within the country.
To be fair, that sounds really like real life in tech too, because about 70% of your time is spent doing the job as such, and at least 30% of the time is spent studying and upskilling, which we're often unprepared for how much of that you still have to do. So that sounds like a realistic day job. Not gonna lie, like there's that much to be done. And obviously, I have a strong focus on the female side of things. So how does the program address the gender gap that's in tech at the minute? And have you seen any progress around it?
Yeah, absolutely. So I suppose there is currently with it's in and around a third of the tech sector would be females. But FIT we are very much aligned to diversity and inclusivity. It's really, really part of our mission. And to increase or to stop that gender gap, I suppose we have a number of different initiatives that we run. We have an iFit program, which is an all-female software development program. So if there are females that for a particular reason, they've been out of work for a long time, they may be single parents who want to get back into the workforce and may just need that support. So it is the Tech Apprenticeship is very supportive. We support the companies, we support the apprentices, and it is all about giving them opportunities. So within the iFit, it does give that, it opens that up to women who may not necessarily want to go back into maybe a class that may be more male dominated. We also run programs within the community. And within schools and youth reaches and education and training boards across the country. We run a program called Choose Tech, and that's for 4th, 5th and 6th year students. The whole aim on this is to encourage students to consider a career in technology at an earlier juncture. And there is a focus on females in technology within that. We also run a Females in Tech event every year for the last 4 years. And that's been instrumental in getting people to speak with female professionals within the tech industry. And what we found is then there is more and more of an interest then leaving school. So you're starting that tech talent pipeline at a much earlier stage. So we have found that. And I suppose creating that awareness that tech apprenticeships are a really viable career pathway for people. We also have QuimShoe, which is a new initiative that we run, and that is supporting people with neurodiversity, people with disabilities. And I think particularly with women and neurodiversity, it's kind of you see it everywhere now. So it's very encouraging that we can support people with that and offer them the opportunities to support them to apply for a tech apprenticeship if that's what they're interested in. So yes, we have a number of different initiatives that we run to have that diversity within the tech sector with the aim for 50-50 gender balance. That is the ultimate aim. Yeah.
I mean, it's probably more forward thinking than a lot of companies out there having all of those groups included in it. I think what I see from that is that you're preparing a lot of those people then in the diverse groups for the real world, as in for what the minimum expectation should be when it comes to support and their needs and what they should expect or ask for. Now,
absolutely. And we also work, Jennifer, with the companies to support the companies so they understand what they need to put in place to make it more accessible, and understand that there are grants available, and understand that sometimes there isn't a huge amount that they need to do in terms of financial implications or those kind of things. And I think that's really important to try and move that as well. And I know that there is if people want to keep an eye on our Facebook or some of our social media, we do have, I think it's the 27th of February, there is a talk around QuimShoe and the supports that we have in place for both candidates and for employers. So,
oh, excellent. And you're all over LinkedIn, because I know I follow you and share all the posts and stuff. So there's plenty to see about what you're doing beyond the apprenticeships as well.
Absolutely.
I love that you talk to the companies as well, because to be fair, when it came to the grants, it's only when I was told about Fit First, I didn't even know there was grants, for the minorities as such too. And that's massive, especially, I was going to say especially for tech companies. To be fair, it's not an expensive investment anyway. And for me, I've been at a few different events of late or spoken at different events. And one that I did more recently was talking to like CISOs and CIOs. And they were all commenting there's not enough talent out there. Never mind there being female talent or anyone that's different. There's not enough, especially on the development side and the networking side. And I was asking about, well, what are you seeing? They were talking about the kinds of applications they see coming in, but what they're looking for is people, basically they're looking like everybody, looking for that unicorn. They want people to be able to hit the ground running, be ready to work. They want to be able to they don't actually care what they pay them, as in they're willing to pay them whatever the hell they need to be paid because they need to get them. And then they said they love the diversity, but they just can't get it at all. So I had said to them, are you thinking about apprenticeships at the time? And it was like the first time the word they'd ever heard it in their lives, never mind even as a company. It was like by the time they're finished their apprenticeship, then they're hitting the ground running in role. Like they know exactly what to do. They know the people to talk to. They know the lay of the land. You don't get better than that with anyone unless they used to work for you before. So they have
Yeah,
the
absolutely.
skills, and the skills are honed to your business, and you can pick your person. So it's like if you want to invest in diversity, you can do it. And it just, yeah, the more people
Yeah.
know, the better, I think.
And it's funny you say that, because usually when we're reaching out to companies, one of the first questions we ask are you familiar with the Tech Apprenticeship Program? So there is that, it is relatively new. It's running since 2018. I should mention we have 3 programs currently running: computer networking, software development, cybersecurity, and then we have data analytics coming on this year. And there is the other, in terms of there is an upskilling initiative as well. So if there are companies that have females in their, maybe that work within a company, and they see that there's an opportunity to upskill them, that's also a way that they can do it. And in terms of the financial costs with it, the apprenticeships, so FIT are an NGO. There's no cost associated, so it's a complementary recruitment service, really. So once we have a company that's interested, they register as a tech apprentice employer, and then we have a huge candidate pool for them to choose from. And what we do is we support the candidates. They go through a rigorous process in terms of they have to send in CV, and they have to do an aptitude session. And when I say rigorous, I mean they have to go through a number of steps. We're very supportive. That is really the aim of what we do. But by the time they get to the end of that process, they really have a hunger and a passion, and what we found is that there is an 89% retention rate within the tech apprenticeships, and the loyalty. Jennifer, you attended, we had Tech Ascent last year in Croke Park, and it was really a wonderful event. And I don't know about you, but what stood out to me was, above all, we had over 30 companies there, and it was a terrific event. But what really stood out was the apprentices, their passion, their loyalty. A lot of them who had completed the program wanted to be mentors. And you nearly had goosebumps. Well, I don't know about you, but I certainly did.
But like, even as you're talking there, I'm like, oh, you can't. Okay, it was my first time. You obviously work in the program, and you know how amazing it is. It was my first time attending an event to find out more about it, and see what the vibe was like. Now, my little brain was thinking it's going to be like a recruitment event. People will probably turn up. If it starts at 9, the bigger group of people will be there kind of around 10:30. I'll get loads and loads of students, and maybe a handful. I even said, we were on the stand for Tenable at the time, and I even said to the recruiter that was on with me, I said, I'll take the older ones because I'm used to, talk to the returners or the women or whichever, because it's usually the women that are doing the second round of career as such. I said, and you can take all the students because you're used to talking to all them anyway. And then it blew my mind. It blew his mind as well. As a recruiter who's been doing what he does for years, he came in at about, I think it was on the button at 9 o'clock, and he goes, there's a queue outside. So I've never seen that before. And the whole time we were talking nonstop, and there was actually a really great mix of both students. And there was a lot more like adults or people career changing or returning to work or than I had expected at all. So my ignorance was absolutely put to bed in that session. And even for fun, I think I'd go to one of them again, regardless of the recruit.
Yeah, the atmosphere was electric. Like there was great feedback from it, and just, I suppose, with the apprenticeships, for anyone who did want to apply for an apprenticeship, you have to be over 18. So it's anyone from 18 up to, whatever age really that apply for the apprenticeships. But primarily it's between the ages of 23. We do have school leavers, but primarily it's people aged 23 to maybe 30, 35, that kind of age group that seems to be really popular with. But we are getting more and more people in from schools, obviously with all of our initiatives. But yeah, there's, and like that, you have career changers. Sometimes we will have people who've already completed a degree, but they want to get in. But the apprenticeship program really is for people who, like I've said, a curiosity and a passion. So they don't have to have a degree, but they have to have the interest. So they're going in on junior roles, and it really is that interest and that they're eager to learn. That's kind of.
I met one guy there
thing.
who, he said he used to be a history professor, had the cardigan and everything, was fitting the stereotype. Yeah, and he was coming back to retrain as such. And, I think that was one of the moments where I was like, it really is, everybody can do it. And I guess my expansion with regards to who it could reach out to had hit me in that moment where I thought I understood it, but it really did beyond that. And then for your apprentices, then, do you have any success stories from some of your apprentices that have been involved in the program before?
Yeah, so we have. There was a couple that I thought of, and they were actually at Tech Ascent as well. There was Jessica Hoey from ZincWorks. So what she said was that she didn't want to go to college. So what happened was she completed a PLC course in software development, and she met someone from FIT. Like I said, we're all around the country promoting this. And she met someone, and they were doing a talk, and that's how she came across the Tech Apprenticeships. And she said, "Oh, this really seems like this would be something that I would be interested in. Obviously, as an apprentice, you get paid while you're learning as well." And she said the best part of her learning experience was being around people. So being around people within industry, where she got to learn even down to how people speak within particular industries. Or she found that was instrumental in her experience, and that's what she really enjoyed. And then we had Amy Knight she's a software developer also in Salesforce. And Amy she actually was nominated as a Tech Apprentice of the Year with Generation Apprenticeship. But she said that she had an ideal blend of qualifications and hands-on experience, and her journey was nothing short of transformative, and it broadened her skill set and ignited her passion for technology. So I thought that was, really, really inspiring women, and you could really see how they've grown, they've developed, and they're really, really advocates of the program. So yeah, they're just two examples. That we do have lots of examples, but they were two that kind of stood out to me as such.
For anyone who might be listening to this and not actually watching the video, you should see the big proud mama smile on Jessica's face when she's telling that story. You would feel proud of the
you
people.
Do, yeah. It's very satisfying.
They're like, you do have to work at it for sure. It's not an easy thing to do. But yeah, it's so satisfying to hear those kind of stories. And I one more question for you then before I go over to Anne-Marie is, you talked about how FIT collaborate with the employers on the D&I side to help them kind of know how to support those kind of different employees as such. When it comes to the relevancy of their technical skills or any of the in-demand skills, how do you work with them on that to make sure that it's happening?
Okay, that's actually a brilliant question. So we have a number of different companies that work on that are part of our FIT Board of Management, which include, for example, AWS, Amundi, IBM, SAP, just to name a few.
Yeah.
And they would be there. They would give us advice. They would act as an advisory. So that's one part. We complete industry skills analysis. So we look at the key disciplines within the tech sector. We break them down into subsets so that we recognise what's required within the industry. We look at entry requirements, so the competencies that they have, and we also look at advanced levels. So there's a broad suite of needs within the tech sector. And within that, then, we have demonstrated over the years that our programs meet the needs of these of the competencies that are needed within the tech sector. And it's a level 6 award that the tech apprentices receive when they've completed. So we very much do, as you know, tech is evolving and changing all of the time. We work with Solus and the National Apprenticeship Office. We have programs at the moment that they're revalidated. So they were recently revalidated. We also are updating them again. We do have generative AI in all of the programs. We're adding to that again because obviously generative AI is huge in the tech industry now. So we're very conscious to keep moving with the times and with the evolving trends within technology, so that it is relevant for both the candidate and the employer.
I get really excited every time I hear you think. See, when I was due to go to college, myself and my brother were in the same year. We're Irish twins. And he knew what he wanted to do and he was ready to go. Whereas I was in 100% faff mode. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And I was randomly picking courses because my mother was harassing me into filling out the CEO forms. But when the time came around, I remember my parents, and they would have been subsidized at the time because college is expensive, as I'm learning with 2 going off this year. But they would have been qualified for subsidies at the time, grants and such. But still at that, there was only the money in pocket to send one of us. And I remember being the big man, going like, I volunteer to not go, I'll work for the year or whatever, because I honestly didn't know what I was wanting to do anyway. But that still happens in families today as well, that they don't all have the budgets to send people, because even when you're fully subsidized, there's still cost involved in getting people there. And I think if something like this had have been available back then, I know I would have been a perfect candidate for it, because if I could get in and get stuck into something and get, my hands into it, then it was never going to be a problem. Back then you couldn't even, as a woman, you wouldn't, if you've gone for like carpentry or plumbing, it just wasn't the done thing. But definitely on the tech side, it would have been fantastic to do it. So I still remember me then, and every time you talk about it, I go, I want to do that. And then I have to remind myself, I work in tech.
Yeah. And even when you mentioned the costs there, I suppose there's a lot of middle income earners as well.
Yeah.
Who really, may not be entitled to grants and things like that also. And it takes a lot of pressure off parents as well. And they come out with the qualification. They get paid to do it. It does offer that, less pressure on within families as well. And then like you mentioned, Jennifer, that it's 70-30%, where 30% you're learning, and that goes on throughout your career within technology. So a lot of people, when they've completed their apprenticeship, they will continue that learning journey throughout their time as well. So it is continual learning journey, and like we said, it changes all the time as well. So they're learning in real time, as well as not having the stress of the financial implications as well, which is great.
Absolutely, yeah. Absolutely. Thanks a million, Jessica. We're going to come to
No problem.
Anne-Marie now. You've waited so patiently. Thank you so much. Because I thought it'd be interesting to hear both sides from Jessica's side on the FIT organization side of it, but then also to hear an experience from an actual apprentice that's been taking part in it. So for you, what motivated you to join the program, and how's the journey been so far?
So to completely echo what you said, Jennifer, about when the time came to fill out the CAO, there's jobs in science, do science, that sort of thing. I had no idea what I wanted to do. And like that as well, I learn by doing so much. And that was my style. And again, to echo what you'd said, and I've said this all the time, anyone I'm speaking to about the apprenticeship, if this was available in my day, I would have grabbed it. But I'm actually very glad that it has come at this stage of my life. My background is beauty therapy. So like that, again, you
so more inspiring that you've even come from it. Sorry, I'm just like, that's a totally polar opposite industry, like
completely different.
Brilliant.
And every time I do say that, like, oh, I'm an apprentice and I used to be beauty, I was like, what are you doing here? And it's like, well, we won't tilt to that particular windmill. I don't want to get imposter syndrome. But no, I have always had an interest in technology. But again, in university, it just seemed kind of overbearing that I would just sit in a lecture hall with 200 other people and try to take notes. And I was a girl that I did go to university. I did an Irish diploma. But like, I was a girl out of Belmullet going to a big city of Galway. I wasn't caring about lectures at the time. It was just an education in a new way of life, really. So when I saw this, I had beauty therapy. Sorry, I'm rambling. I loved beauty therapy. I was thriving in that career, but that was it. I had come as far as I could go. And I knew that I would be busy with my regular clients every day that I worked. But that was it. And that is not enough for me. I like to be challenged. So literally just looking up things that I could do to change career, to be realistic, rather than going back and saying I can do the university degree or anything like that again. I saw this tech apprenticeship, actually saw it advertised through, and I applied for it for the network engineering because, again, I thought that would be more hands-on than a cybersecurity or software. And oh my goodness, it has completely changed my life for the better. I haven't looked back a day since I've started. And yes, there's nerves and you don't always get things right. You are an apprentice at the end of the day, but it has been truly the best experience of my life, not to exaggerate.
I love that, because the network engineers are tough. Network engineering is tough. It can be like, and whilst the logic, I want to say it stays the same, all of the terminology changes often. And then if you go into, like, once you take your network engineering skills into something like the cloud, then you've got different phrases depending on which cloud environment that you're in as well, which used to melt my brain. But once you've got the core logic, I mean, that can apply. I worked in cybersecurity for years, and network was one of the most important parts of that, because if you didn't understand how everything was connected to each other, then you couldn't work in that. It'd be the same in comms, whether you're, if you're working on that side of things. It'd be the same in banking. Like, it's relevant to any industry at all. I know the others would be as well, but when you said that to me first, before we started recording, I was like, man, she went straight for the toughest. In my opinion, software development is one that I will always find hard. I used to love it, but I don't like it anymore, and I find it really hard then. Liking it is really important, and clearly you do. You can see a light up when you talk about it. Then the skills that you've gained so far, then what do you think you have found to be and will continue to be the most valuable in your career? Although I might have stolen some of that by just saying what I said, sorry.
Well, again, starting off very nervous. I was always a great communicator, but we never communicated via email. I understand protocols and procedures in that respect completely. So I was telling Clodagh, actually, one of the FIT employees, that I was so nervous sending the first email. I used to ring my sister saying, "Does this sound okay to you?" And before, like, literally sending an email saying, "Yes, I will do that." But just simple. But I think, that sort of formal protocol, that is a skill that I will completely, that is the backbone of, say, whenever I'm working from home. But definitely understanding like, what makes a network in any business, what goes on behind the scenes that nobody knows, the switching, the layer 2, layer 3 with your firewall, and how all of that is interconnected with cybersecurity as well. That's a big thing, that everything I do network engineering, but that is so closely related to the cybersecurity element as well. Like you said, for cloud environments. So, like, literally, I've come from not being able to send an email, and now I'm talking the jargon sometimes. I'm on command prompt on people's computers, and they're like, "That looks like a different language." And I was like, "Yes." When I started, it was. So, sorry, to loosely answer your question, I've gained so much that I can take with me forever. It's been like, it's great. Like, I can take charge now. I'm telling people, this is what I want done, and this is a certain way, rather than, will you tell me, take the lead? It's kind of given me a leadership and a confidence that I hadn't had before in a leadership way.
Which leads me beautifully to what I was going to ask you next, which is, how has it impacted your confidence or any of your career aspirations?
Well, yeah, so it hugely impacted my confidence. I was never, like I'd said, I was never used to being leader. With beauty therapists, you do have to take the lead one-on-one, because you are dealing with people who are vulnerable, that feel vulnerable, or putting a lot of trust in you for a very important part of their life. So you have to take charge. You have to be confident. But if you put me in a room with people who are like electricians, and they're asking, "How do you want this done? What kind of cable?" I was literally sitting back sheepishly. Now I'm like, yeah, I understand what this is now. I'm super confident. I just go to sites. I'm like, "Hi, my name is Anne-Marie McAndrew. Just here to look at your network. I work for the ICT department. I'll work away." So I'm way more confident in general, but definitely in taking the lead, taking charge in a group, that has really, really stood to me, this apprenticeship.
I love that. That gives me the tingles because,
Eh,
in a similar way, I remembered some of those first conversations where I knew my stuff, and it's exciting, and you're still walking away going, "Woo-hoo-hoo, look at me."
Exactly. You're like, oh my God, I can't believe I just said that.
And the progression is so real and so fast from the sounds of it. Then with that as well, for anybody then who might be listening to it and thinking of being a part of it, of course, they're going to want to know if there's challenges that you face as well and what they might have been. Did you overcome them? And if so, how?
Yeah. So again, I am still an apprentice. There is so much. I'm not naive to the fact that there's so much I have yet to learn, so much I don't know just yet. So I think again, it's good to not get complacent. You have to keep moving with it. Challenging, yes. When you work with networks or in IT, I think it's important that you note, even when you're doing, say, tech support, you're dealing with somebody who's got an issue that's causing them stress. So you can deal with kind of people who are on edge and can get kind of frustrated. So just to bear in mind that it's not you, and just you are there to fix a problem. You haven't caused it. You're there to give a solution and not to take it too personally if people are in stress. And again, working on networks, if you're implementing change where new phone systems or network upgrades, getting new APs, but that's going to knock you off the network for a little while. And the famous words that any of the network engineers that I deal with saying should be nice and easy. I'm like, don't say that. You've said it now.
Ruined it. Yeah.
Yes, you have staff coming saying, I have to send an email. Like I have to get to work and say, I'm sorry, it's just going to be down for another little while. We're just trying to sort out the issue. So it is challenging because like I said, you're trying to fix a problem or you're implementing change, a change that can affect people or a change that people haven't asked for. So it's important to be patient with it and to listen to people who are giving you their concerns. And just, again, don't take it personally if you get somebody who's kind of combative. It's not about you. It's just, again, just keep the head down and just keep going. But it's completely overridden by all of the good things in the apprenticeship.
I used to think that's why they used to put all the tech support people in the basement years ago, because you had the length of time it took people to get to the basement to fix the problem that was created.
Love that.
So before we finish up, then I've got one more question I'm going to ask both of you from your perspectives, such as really what advice you might give to somebody who's considering going into a tech apprenticeship, and then maybe especially if they're a woman as well. Do you want to go first, Marie?
Yeah, perfect. My first thing is do it. Oh my gosh, do it. I am telling everybody that I come across about these apprenticeships, they are amazing. They will change your life. If you're willing, if you have a genuine interest and a willingness to learn, you will fly it. And don't talk yourself out of it. It's an apprenticeship. You don't have to have that degree. You can start, like me, not able to, needing advice on an email, to now leading network projects, calling to sites. I've been to almost every site in Mayo, Sligo, Leitrim. And to the women, again, do it. I went from a almost 100% female based career to a very male orientated one. I'm the only female on my team, but I have been welcomed with open arms by the ICT department of ME. It has never been an issue. And I think that's just wonderful. It's just, I've given you a job and you do it. And there's nothing to stop you. Absolutely nothing. It's the best thing you'll do. Genuinely.
Love it. Jessica, have you got any last advice?
Yeah, I think echoing really what Anne-Marie said. Yeah, exactly. If you have an interest, just do it. Just send in your application. Go on to the FIT website where you can apply very, very easily. And just know that there is so Fitter here. We are an NGO. We're very much about supporting people in their journey. So if it's a case that you come in, we support you in that process. And we make it as easy as possible. And like Anne-Marie mentioned earlier, that she was in touch with people in FIT. We contact the apprentice. We link in with them. We ensure that their well-being is looked after, and they don't just come in and do the apprenticeship. They get in the apprenticeship and we leave them. We actually are with them throughout the process and we support them. And I think that's the message particularly for women who do want to, just apply and we'll be in contact with you. And there's nothing to stop you. And we will support you through that. So that's, I suppose, the main message. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much, both of you, for joining me today. I'll get some information off you on the thing on the 27th and I'll post it up with this
Absolutely.
Too.
Brilliant.
And yeah, thanks. That was wonderful.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.